crap games brought in a lot of money for the family. So Chicky Narducci goes and sees Phil Testa and Angelo Bruno and makes a beef about what is going on. Bruno and Testa tell Narducci that they're gonna find Louis DeMarco and have him killed. Disrespecting a made guy is against the rules, and Chicky Narducci was a made guy. So what happened is, Phil Testa waits a week before calling my uncle and telling him that he wants us to kill Louis DeMarco for robbing Chicky Narducci. Phil Testa and Chicky Narducci had kind of a love and hate relationship, so they were always on again, off again, and then they were having problems, so Phil Testa was kind of dogging it. My uncle was unhappy because Phil Testa waited a week and didn't tell him right away. My uncle wanted people to know what kind of people we were, that if we were asked to kill someone, we would do it right, without any hesitation. Our philosophy was bang bang, and that was that. So my uncle assigns the killing to me and Vincent Falcone so we can prove to my uncle and the guys like Ange and Phil Testa that we were killers, and that we were serious men like my uncle. So we put some feelers out on the street to see if anyone has a line where this Louis DeMarco might be hiding out. We hear that he is staying at the Inside Motel on Pacific Avenue. So I go see a guy and I know named Harry the Hat who had a coffee shop on Missouri Avenue. It was like hanging out. It was like a hangout. Everybody would hang there. Harry the Hat was Skinny the Razor's brother-in-law, and he knew everybody in Atlantic City. So I asked him if he knows who Louis DeMarco is, and Harry the Hat pointed him out to me. He was actually sitting right there in the coffee shop playing cards. So I have Vince Falcone with me, and we stayed out for a while. And we stayed for a little while, and when Louis DeMarco leaves, we follow him to the Inside Motel. He has no idea who we are or that we are following him. There was a local bartender who was with us who had a room at the inside. He gave us the key to the room so that we could wait until DeMarco came out of his room so we can get him. Phil Leonetti, just 23 years old, was about to commit his first murder. Assigns the killing to me and Vincent Falcone so we can prove to my uncle and guys like Ange and Phil Testa that we were killers and that we were serious men like my uncle. Louis DeMarco was robbing Chicky Narducci, and Chicky Narducci was in our family. Louis DeMarco had broken the rules, and when you break the rules, you get killed. This is what my uncle had always taught me. This is what La Cosa Nostra was all about. Before the money, before the power, before everything came the rules. Louis DeMarco was getting ready to leave his room at the Inside Motel, and he had no idea what was coming. So we see him walking out, and we run up on him. Me and Vince had masks and gloves on. We were behind him, and he blasted right in the back of his head. After I shot him, I thought he was running away, but it was the force of the bullet that made him fly forward, and he landed face down. Then me and Vince just emptied our guns into him. I think the first shot killed him. We did it right at the parking lot, right on the Pacific in broad daylight. I remember standing over him and emptying my gun into him. I remember the feeling I had. I felt cold. I didn't feel any remorse. Louis DeMarco was dead, and Phil Leonetti was now a bona fide mob killer, just like his uncle, Nicky Scarfo. My uncle had me and Vince go over an escape route a few days before the killing. We walked over the route several times to make sure we knew we were going. We walked several routes several times to make sure we knew where we were going. My uncle told us that after we killed him, he wanted us to throw the guns on the roof of a nearby building, which we did. We then followed the route that we had planned, and my uncle was waiting there in a car to pick us up. We get in the car and no one says a word. We just drive to the apartment on Georgia Avenue. As Nicky Scarfo became more of a force in La Cosa Nostra, he started to distance himself from members of the Atlantic City crew that he thought were dead weight. Two men who fit that description were Alfredo Ferraro and Vincent Falcone, both of whom had been trusted members of Nicky Scarfo's gang since the early 70s. My uncle decided he didn't want either of them around us anymore. He would say things like, "These two guys are useless," or "These two guys are holding us back." He grew to detest both of them. What happened next is vintage Nicky Scarfo. Now, Alfredo and Vince were the best of friends. They were Italian, but they came to the United States from Argentina, and they came over together. The Big Shot. December 16th, 1979. Vincent Falcone and Alfredo Ferraro had talked about Nicky Scarfo at a bar while Scarfo was traveling overseas in Italy. Chucky Marlino had informed Nicky Scarfo, Philip Leonetti, that Vincent Falcone and Alfredo Ferraro were making jokes about their business deals, especially when it came to the cement work. When Nicky Scarfo was first informed, he said, "I'ma whack them both." When Nicky Scarfo had returned from Italy and then started doing business with the crime family in New Jersey, Alfredo Ferraro is starting to feel the tension and then disappears in the scenery, and then eventually so did Vincent Falcone. But as time went on, Vincent Falcone does eventually show up and start making business deals, and everybody pretend that nothing has happened. And this is where Nicky Scarfo makes the shrewd move by planning the plot of killing Vincent Falcone. To Nicky Scarfo, killing the Big Shot, as he referred to him, Vincent Falcone had become personal, just like he did with Judge Helfont. Scarfo set out to lure Falcone into a comfort zone when he at least expected it. Now, around this time, a position opens up in the concrete union, and my uncle puts the word out that he wants Vincent Falcone to get it. This was a big deal, and something that Vince had always wanted. So my uncle sets the trap, and Vince goes for it. My uncle is acting like everything is fine, and now Vince starts to come around Georgia Avenue again. We were playing like nothing ever happened. They were very close, these two, so my uncle decided that he wanted to kill Alfredo, and then he wanted Vince to be the shooter. Now, if Vince doesn't kill Alfredo, my uncle will have him killed. And then we kill Alfredo anyway. It's like killing two birds with one stone. So my uncle gives Vince the order to kill Alfredo, and right away Vince is dogging it, making up excuses. Alfredo must have started getting vibes, and then he just disappears. He stops coming into Atlantic City. We stop seeing him, but one night Vince is out drinking with Alfredo, and Chucky and Lawrence bump into them, and they both get a drink, and they tell Chucky and Lawrence that my uncle is crazy and that we shouldn't be in the concrete business. A few days later, my uncle and Chucky end up going on vacation together to Italy, and while they are there, Chucky tells my uncle what Vince and Alfredo has said about us. And so begins the plot to kill Vince Falcone.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.